Welcome to Paul Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry and Spencer, and we're discussing Loki episode number 3, titled "Nothing Happens." That's not what it's titled. If you not hit the sub button, hit the sub button, and yeah, we're just gonna start.
I actually thought that was the title for a minute. I was like, "Is it really?"
No, it was called
Like, that's
Lamentis.
ironic.
It was called Lamentis. It was off of the planets or moons or whatever they were on crashing. Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to open with this thought, and then we'll go from there. Um,
It's
the pacing is a problem. It's a problem. It wasn't bothering me so much in the first couple episodes, although I had a few concerns. But I was like, okay, this episode I got legit bored at some points, and I'm just sitting there, and the more I think about it, I'm like, you know what? The first 2 episodes could have been one episode. This episode clearly didn't feel it didn't to me it didn't feel like a complete episode. Whatever happens next week, that episode and this one probably could have been one episode. There's a lot of padding I'm feeling. And to me there's just certain things happening that could be done better. That's my initial impression of the episode. I got bored. You guys, any just sort of initial thoughts on the episode? Did you like it more than I did, or how did you feel?
I was coughing. Hold on.
I liked it probably a little bit more than you did, but I think we talked and it was we both agreed that it felt like at best half an episode, like, because when you got to the end, that's usually your halfway point, and then they'd figure out another way to get off this world or do whatever they're going to do, because not much happened. And I think Marvel's got their new like backdrop technology and everything that they made for the Mandalorian, and I think they're just kind of abusing that to milk content. It's like, oh, we'll show them these neat effects and crap in the background, but really the focus is on two people that are just having a conversation for most of the series.
It was basically an animated episode. You're right.
When you look at when you're talking about how they could basically shove a couple of these episodes together, when Feige and everybody else came up with this idea of, hey, Disney Plus isn't getting as many subscribers as we want, we need to fill it full of content. To me, that explains more of this than anything else, because we bitched about WandaVision was great, I thought, and then the last episode happened and it undid all of the greatness. Winter Soldier and Falcon, I didn't much care for, because I don't like Anthony Mackie all that much. But even by the end of that, it's the same gripes. Like, there was nothing happened. And now this, you have a great way to introduce the multiverse, and they set it up to where it could be fantastic. But Feige already said, hey, none of the shows have anything to do with the movies. So now I'm like, well, this is basically just going to end without any real tie-in, and it's just going to be the same. And there's so many things that they could do to make this great, and I feel like they're just giving us filler until the movies come out, and I don't like that.
Yeah, and there's no tie-in, even though people have pointed out that there's references to things that could be and were in the movies. There's no direct tie-in. You're just like referencing a planet or a person even, but you're not affecting their arc in any way. There's nothing that will affect the movies, and it's just like, yeah, it's like they're really trying to. It just feels like a lot of padding, like Brian said, and that's the real problem here. We're not getting a whole lot, and it feels like it could have been cut in half, and hell, honestly, the whole series feels like it could have been cut in half at this point. It's like these could have been 30-minute episodes. So padding, pacing seems like it's the real problem here.
Yeah, because over the course of this entire episode, outside of a few little points, and we'll go into them here in a moment, there, like I said, nothing really happened, and I think there was a lot of opportunities for stuff to happen. I mean, you're on a world that's about to end. Everyone there, for the most part, is going to die. And you have a couple of gods. You have Loki and Sylvie / Enchantress / Loki walking there. And we were talking before we started recording, and I was like, there would have been a great scene where maybe one of the people comes up to Loki, or maybe a child, or someone's like, hey, we can't get a ticket on this train, or something to that effect, and he basically tells them, well, Odin will save you or God will save you. And, then that character has some hope to hold on to. Maybe Sylvie is just like, why would you do that? And he gives the idea of, well, they have hope and maybe some kind of commentary on gods, religion, etc. But Disney doesn't seem interested in that. They don't seem interested in doing anything really groundbreaking. And then, of course, everybody was excited because we got the revelation that yes, Loki, a character which we already knew is bisexual. Great, show me, don't tell me. What?
Mhm.
Why? It was a 9-second line of dialogue. Show me. Have him go up to the. Larry, you had a whole idea where he meets a couple at the bar and is having drinks with them and clearly is into both of them.
Mhm.
Something like that. Show me, don't tell me. But yet again, this is an example of Disney creating content that they can easily cut around if they want to, and for certain markets. And that, to me, that's what I got from this.
It's as bold an act as pulling a Dumbledore, like going afterwards, like he's gay, right? Would have been just as strong as him just sort of indirectly saying it. It's a bit weak, and like you said, that's a lot of the problem with this show. It's very much tell and not show. We talk about a lot of things, a lot of concepts in this show that we don't show, and with the TVA and everything, I definitely expected this show to be much weirder. Is the thing, like because we grew up with Quantum Leap, with Sliders and shows like that, where you
Or
are
even
going
Doctor
from
Who.
Doctor Who, yes,
Oh,
like
that's what I was getting ready to mention.
yeah, absolutely, and those get weird, and you get to see what a branching timeline could be like, and we're not really getting any of that in this.
Well, and you bring up Doctor Who, and me and Brian were talking about that earlier too. There's so many episodes where you don't just say that the Doctor is interested in aliens, everybody, like, he doesn't care because he knows he lives forever. Like, he is just kind of, if he's interested in it, he's interested in it. Like, he just doesn't care. But they also have not just dialogue where it shows it, there's scenes, him and Captain Jack go back and forth when it was David a little.
Absolutely. Captain Jack
There-
Harkness is a great example of a character who's very open about their sexuality. They're not afraid to talk about it, show it. And that's a family-friendly sci-fi adventure that's in the PG-13 realm. PG-13. That's what the MCU is. That's what Loki is. And yet Disney is clearly not interested in exploring that.
Yeah,
well,
when you do it in this way, it just doesn't feel organic. Is the problem? The way Disney does this. Just like the way he just sort of offhandedly said it, and it's like, oh, well, there it is, and it'll never be a part of the series again. And and maybe I'll have to hold my tongue on that. We'll see. During the next few episodes, but
Yeah,
I kind of doubt it.
but I think what you said, Brian, that to me carried the most weight was the cutting around it for other markets. If they make it like a full 4-minute scene or 3-minute scene or have it tie in multiple parts, they can't cut around that because then they might catch on a part that's important to the plot. Whereas one line of dialogue, if they're trying to market it in a country that is not having that, it's very, very easy for them to just take that one line out. And which to me is just as shitty as what they did because why are they trying to and I understand it's money. Like I get it. I get that it's the cash cow, it's the thing that keeps on giving, but at some point, when does content and continuity overtake the marketplace? Where
Yeah.
how many more markets would they be more successful in if they took a stance and were like, what, fuck you guys, we're going to do what we want. And they're one of the biggest creators of movie, TV content, period. And if they were just like, what, we're going to do what we want. If you guys want our content, feel free to take it. If not, we'll just find somebody else who will. And I wish that they would just take a stance and do that as opposed to conforming to other markets to just kind of appease the masses.
You'd have to think about your products as art to do that. They're not They're not going to do that. So like that's out of the question.
Damn. That was one hell of a. Yes, I agree, 100% and that's the problem. As you watch this and you're like, there's so much potential. These characters and these stories, there's so much potential, and yet, what are they doing? What really happened in the course of this episode? Nothing. The one big revelation, the TVA, and this is a big revelation, and hopefully there's a legit payoff. The TVA agents are variants. They were not created by the Timekeepers. Okay, that's a big reveal. That ties into some of the things we were thinking about earlier. In that that little video he watched and sort of the history and the origins of the TVA is all bullshit. Well, clearly, yes, it's all bullshit. Now, what the truth is, I don't know. Hopefully, it's clever.
Well, to me, that whole training video reminded me of Fallout, and it made me laugh.
Yeah,
because it felt like that.
It's like, my worry with that reveal is, once again, and I know, I feel like I've said it every episode, but Marvel still has a history of doing it. That it's like it's not going to be clever. It'll be something dumb like, oh, it's another Loki that's in charge and wiping their minds or something.
Well,
I've seen that theory actually.
and I was talking to Brian about this like before we all got on together. It's, to me, my fear is that they spend so much time on the wrong things, and the way Disney sets stuff up. We talk about DC, and yes, it has a lot of faults, but they actually write villains pretty decent. Whereas Marvel doesn't. They don't do as great with it. But just like with Zemo in Falcon Winter Soldier, he was the villain they should have focused on instead of the Flag Smashers. You look at WandaVision. You have this big mystery. You have this huge mystery, and then it's Agatha Harkness, but they only focus on her for like 15 minutes of the entire season of her being bad. And then they just, well, it's not really her. It's something else. Instead of building up her character, letting her be the bad guy. And this, I think, is the same way. You have Enchantress, because that's what I'm going to call her, because that's what she is. You have a great opportunity to create this great villain. And instead, it's almost like a buddy cop TV show now, where they're trying to figure out a way to fuck over the Timekeepers. And that pisses me off so bad, because there's going to be this buddy cop show. It's going to be, Sylvie's going to be written well, and then they're going to focus on this bullshit Timekeepers thing, and it's not developed well enough for me to care.
And they'll probably do something. I swear to you, if they do this, I'm going to be very upset. I'm going to call it right now in this review. If they kill Sylvie, I'm going to be fucking furious.
That'd be a very Marvel thing to do.
I swear, if they kill her off, I will be absolutely outraged. Just for the fact that then I'll truly feel like you wasted my time. So I'm going to go ahead and say that now. I will be very outraged. And yeah, my fear is, you're right, we're 3 episodes in. She's not, you took Mobius, who was my favorite character. He's not in the episode at all. And so that bummed me out. You introduced this new character. Okay, she's got a little arc going, and okay, I'm getting into it, trying to see where this is going. And you've established, the Timekeepers, I guess, are the villains. But what are they? What is the lie that's being told? And I just have this sick feeling in my stomach that it's going to be stupid. And I hope it's good. I hope that it's brilliant. I hope that I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. But I don't have confidence that it will be.
Yeah, same here, unfortunately. But, it's just, like I said, I feel like it's going to be very much the same, like a paint by numbers Marvel property when we get to the end of it. Like, I've seen other YouTubers, just kind of, state that, like that, they love how weird the show is. Like, but I do feel that it's playing it very safe.
Weird.
It's not that weird, and I think they forget shows like the previous shows we mentioned, your Doctor Who's, your Sliders, that kind of thing, which is what this show should be, but with a Marvel twist on it, because you have this weird, intricate Marvel history, and especially if you're exploring space and time, like you could have had, Loki in World War II during one of Captain America's adventures, during one of his conflicts with the Red Skull. You know, you could have had him in the middle of, you know, the Kree Skrull War at some point in one of the episodes.
I want to see those shows, Larry. You're now naming things I want to see. Yeah, but you know,
and these are things I expected, because, you know, you can't come up with this premise of, oh, we're exploring space and time, and then you don't really explore space and time. You more use it as a backdrop for, you know, this main plot that you're running.
there's still at least 3 more episodes. I might be eating my words. I mean, you know, they may hit the ground hard next week, and the ending of the series, I'm like, wow, shit, they did all the things I complained about. And if so, I'll come on here and I'll state that. But I doubt it. I doubt that's going to happen. It hasn't with the previous 2 shows, at least in my opinion. So, you know, we'll see. The ending, and one of the big gripes I also had about the ending was, okay, they're trying to escape on this ship. The ship gets destroyed at the end, and they're just sort of stranded there. And then there was a weird. Why the hell were everybody fighting them? Was everybody fighting them in the end? Like that was a head scratcher. I'm like,
that didn't make any sense. That made no sense at all. Like everything is crumbled. Everyone's, you know, like everything's falling apart. Everyone's clearly going to die, and they're still fighting them. Like even if they communicated via radio, look out for these 2. You know, it wouldn't make sense. Yeah, why would they care?
I was very confused by that, and I was like, okay. I mean, it was, I guess, a cool little action scene. The ship gets destroyed, they're stuck, and then we go to cut the credits. Now we know, oh, sure, they're going to kill off the 2 main characters midway through the show. Of course not. There's going to be something. I don't know what it'll be. It's a weird way to end a show with characters that you're pretty confident are going to make it through. Now, if you had put, say, a character like Mobius in a danger where he might die, that's a little more believable. Just because he's a new character, and you could say, oh shit, they're gonna, you know, he's gonna die. But the fact that it was Loki, it's like, come on. In the show called Loki. Plus, spoilers, we've seen trailers, and there are scenes that we've not yet seen.
Yeah.
Including the scene where he's got the vote for Loki pen and everything. So, yeah, you sort of effed up there. You can't have a cliff. You can't show me something that I know has not happened yet, and then have a cliffhanger ending where that character is potentially going to die. But I didn't find any interest in that ending. I read a couple of reviews that were praising it. Like, wow, what a way to end an episode. And I'm just like, at this point, I'm like, kiss my ass, man. Some of these reviews legitimately make me irritate the hell out of me. It's like, I get it. It's Marvel, it's Disney, but quit.
But it goes back to like we talked about before, the whole money machine. Some of these people reviewing this stuff and praising it to high heaven are getting, I don't want to say paid by Disney, but getting paid by Disney.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of
screeners and, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, I get it.
But I mean, I can tell you right now, if Disney was like, hey, we'll pay you each $1,000 a month to praise our shit, you guys would hear a totally different tune from me, because I would sell out quicker than shit. But they're not paying it.
the masterpiece that was Loki, the well-crafted, brilliantly paced.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was intriguing. It was strange. You know, everyone should check it out. You know, yeah, if we were getting those screeners and everything, like,
but we're not. You're getting our honest opinion.
Yeah, this is exactly.
Like, but yeah, it was a little weak. Now, one thing that could have given that moment some impact is like, but they wouldn't take the show this weird, because again, like I said, like every other show that plays with space and time has done this kind of thing to some degree. You could have had episode 1 happens, you know, where they convinced Loki to work with them. Then episode 2 happens, and, you know, Loki dies, or it appears like, well, maybe he died. Like, and then episode 3 begins with like, you're back in the interview again, and you're going through it. You're like, wait, why are we going through this? And, you know, it turns out they just pulled another variant, and like, and, you know, that could have been a weird twist, but, you know, they're not going to play with time that much. They're not even really playing with time. They're just kind of
playing with
that's
time.
Almost like a Rick and Morty type of scenario.
That clever writing.
You know, but yeah, you know, they don't want to really explore time or space. So why have a show that's focused around it? You know, which might be a complaint.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And as far as the weird aspect, like I said, what in this episode was weird? You know, we got it was visually cool. Seeing two, large planetary bodies crashing into each other. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
but so was Avatar, and that movie was bullshit.
Um,
you could there's so many little things that they could do, because there's timelines and there's variant timelines and all kinds of stuff that they could do, all kinds of strange and fun things. uh and we got hints that might be happening, with us looking into Loki's past in the first episode, and it just kind of never happened. It's like, what if they jump one time, like they're in a lab, like, and they jump to a different point in space and time, and they're in a lab, and Loki accidentally knocks something over, and that triggers the explosion that causes Bruce Banner to become the Hulk. Just little things like that.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, there's all kinds of cool crap they can do, and they can make it, unique in a very Marvel way. But they won't, and I guess I expected too much from the show.
did y'all see the Shang-Chi, the new trailer?
I did like the new trailer more.
I thought it was way better than the first trailer. I'm still not like, hey, that movie's going to be amazing, but now that I have a better idea of, okay, I see what they're doing, that could be fun.
Yes, but fun and relevant are two.
It will absolutely, yeah. Is it going to be a film that you have to see that's important to the? No, I don't think so. But I like the idea of the arena fighting. I like the. I don't know how I feel about Abomination being back, but whatever. He comes up every so often because we know the character is being held, since the Incredible Hulk film, and now he's back. But yeah,
They're allowing them to use that, but not to
yes,
use Banner.
It
in a
fits
solo
into,
film. Yeah.
yeah, it fits into their agreement. It's not necessarily a Hulk property. It's so they can kind of use the characters and other properties, but they couldn't like straight up do an Abomination movie or a Hulk movie. So
Oh, I know. That's what I was saying. It's ridiculous that they allow that kind of shit, but it's not that they're planning on putting something out anytime soon, but
yeah, they're like, well, we're not tearing down this Incredible Hulk roller coaster, and like, y'all can deal with that. That's their doing.
that's the only thing that
We're not going to retheme this.
How do you feel about the way the 10 rings are being used?
I think it's I don't know. I guess it's interesting. We'll have to see, because previously it was tech. Now it seems like it's potentially some ancient magic or tech. So
I'm thinking ancient magic, alien, or something. Maybe it ties to the Eternals or the Celestials in some way.
or it's
I'm
like
just
an old
guessing.
Kree weapon or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
they're tending to go the magical route as far as, because they saw what worked with Thor, so they're like, well, let's just make all of it this one thing.
Yeah. So that'll I mean, I don't know. I'll give it a chance. It'll be cool to see how that works out. Because
Yeah, I was just curious. We hadn't talked about it. I was just curious what y'all thought, because I don't have much else to say about Loki. So keeping it in the MCU. The Black Widow film's dropping in a week. I'm hearing okay reviews. They're in the lukewarm section. I'm hearing that it has some pacing issues, which I thought was funny.
What?
I know, right? I'm hearing, and people are being. I'll say this: Disney has people scared because everyone who's seen the film refuses to spoil it.
yeah.
And so, because I keep hearing, well, not everybody's going to love Taskmaster. The character's not quite as good as it typically is in the comics, but they won't say any details. They won't give us backstory. They won't even really say what the central villain is. I was like, is it Taskmaster? What's exactly going on?
They're not sure.
Maybe. So I don't know. We'll find out.
They haven't quite cut it up just right yet.
I did like the joke from the new trailer. Yeah.
The pose thing.
Yeah, where she's talking to her sisters. She's like, "Why do you always do that?" She's like, "You're a poser. You always pose every time you jump." And she's like, "I don't pose. I'm not a poser."
People are saying that she's really good in it. I can't remember the character's name, but
new Black Widow.
New Black Widow.
Oh, you're talking about
Pugh. Her last name's Pugh.
Yeah, I know.
The
but
actress.
What's his name? It's dude from Scrubs' girlfriend.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
22 years older than her.
People are saying she's good in it, and that she will be the new Black Widow. So good, I guess. That
But let's cool it. Let's cool it on insulting Zach Braff. We can't take that heat.
I like Zach.
he's a
Like,
good writer. He's a good producer.
Yeah, and I guess she was legal at least when he started hollering at her. So
Yeah. What else we got for the MCU? That's about. I don't know what other shows are dropping this year. I know there's a bunch in production, but there's no timeline as far as what's next.
are we talking
I
about
think
you, or are we talking about just generally speaking? Because if fucking Barry's not this year, I'm gonna cry.
I was talking about the MCU. Barry is supposedly happening this year. I think they've already shot it, or at least started. So,
They
from
started.
what I understand,
They started filming it back in February.
yeah. So it should be hopefully soon. But as far as the MCU, there's so many shows. They're doing She-Hulk. I think they're shooting She-Hulk. Miss Marvel, I should be done. What is the other one? Hawkeye. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of other ones.
We get to see Jeremy Renner train his daughter to be his character.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
good. That'll be great. Just because his contract's up, they couldn't come. They couldn't get another character or anything. Instead, they just basically produced
is he?
a character.
Is he? Is he not going to be like Hawkeye anymore? Does he not want to play this character?
And I think this is him bowing out. I want to say that this is his last thing. Like he'll do his show.
I don't know with the way Jeremy Renner thinks, and I feel like he's going to come back X amount of years later and just like, yeah, wouldn't it be cool if I don't know, Hawkeye wasn't dead or whatever happened to him in the movie? What if he came back? Wouldn't that be surprising?
They could do the old man Hawkeye thing because old man Hawkeye is pretty cool. From
Hawkeye.
The Logan story.
Yeah, but how would that work? He doesn't have any powers.
Yeah, but he was like Logan's buddy.
Yeah, it was Hawkeye. He was old and blind.
Yeah, that was
Oh, Jesus Christ!
You never read Old Man Logan?
It was like Zatachi, but with an archer instead of a blonde swordsman. It was pretty cool.
I actually liked it. It was my favorite version of Hawkeye.
Yeah, I'm talking about Logan the movie.
Which
was Old Man Logan, but now you introduce Jeremy Renner as the shittiest Avenger as cool. Like, you can't undo his bullshit character throughout the movies and make him cool in its own movie.
He was way more jaded, at that age. He could still do all this cool archer stuff, but he was blind and had to kind of hear his way through things. He had a self-driving car. They went a long way to explain how a lot of it worked, but it was actually very entertaining,
I have zero interest in that.
As someone who doesn't like Hawkeye at all, I don't.
Same here.
I enjoyed him in that story.
I don't know. I have a real issue with like fake superheroes, I guess. Because you look at somebody like, I don't know, Superman or Sentry or even Iron Man, who doesn't have superpowers but has a wealth of money and is super intelligent. Mr. Fantastic, like DC or Marvel, you have all these super powerful people, and then you have somebody like Hawkeye who gets any kind of screen time or comic books, and I'm like, this is dumb as shit. Like, I don't like it.
So where's the line for you is what I want to know. Like would you consider Batman a real hero just because the amount of
he has resources similar, and I don't like Green Arrow is not great, but he at least has the resources to buy technology or invest in technology to
Hawkeye has a family.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's my issue. That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's a story.
Batman's super smart. He's also very wealthy, has a lot of resources. Hawkeye doesn't have any of that. Like, and that's my issue. Is that
so your problem with Hawkeye is the fact that he's a normal dude that walked out of a Dick's Sporting Goods and decided to fight crime.
Yes. And then he gets teamed up with people like the Hulk and Thor.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he was doing like a Daredevil where he was down in Hell's Kitchen or some other like smaller borough or something, or he was down in Baltimore or some other city that doesn't have Thanos coming through and like
Hawkeye in Baltimore. That's
Yeah.
I'd read that.
But that's what I'm saying. It would make more sense for him to be the vigilante route in a smaller city, handling like somebody like Kingpin or crime bosses, as opposed to Thanos. Like that's my issue, I think.
Is that he's in cosmic level
Yes.
situations and he's an archer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would have probably made you really angry if during Endgame, if Thanos was about to punch Captain America, but then like Hawkeye shoots the gauntlet and pins it to a wall, and they only technically win because of Hawkeye. That would have irritated you.
He shoots like a magnet arrow and like pins it to Iron Man, and he's able to rip it off. Like, yeah, fucking stupid.
So you're saying we're not reviewing the Hawkeye show? Is that?
Oh, I'll do it, but I'll shit on it just better than all these ones.
I don't know if I can physically watch the Hawkeye show. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know what it's about. Like, what's the conflict?
Because no one cares.
What other shows? I know they're going to do the Secret Invasion. They're going to do Armor Wars.
Armor Wars could be cool because if they set it up something like a, Gundam Wing, or
it
like
could be cool. Great. I agree. Yeah, it could be cool. There were some other big ones they announced. Oh, Moon Knight. That was the one that was slipping my mind. And I know they're about to go into production.
Okay.
I don't know yet again, that's one where it's like, okay, if you completely embrace the comic, that could be an interesting, weird show. But I doubt they're going to completely embrace the comic.
No, they're doing it because some younger millennials saw the comic, got super interested in it, and talked about it on the internet. So now they're like, you know what? We're going to get ahead of the curve 3 years late.
That's true. Because the book's not selling at all
It was interesting for I
3 years ago.
Yeah, I have some of the first run of Moon Knight, which I didn't buy, by the way. I got like these boxes of comics that were given to me, and some of them are really old, and some of them I have like the first run of Moon Knight. I don't have the first one, but I have some of that first run, and I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of cool. But I'm also not trying to go find the first Moon Knight because he's a cool kid. And I'm like, no, he's Marvel Batman. And crazy.
I would say you're dogging Batman a little too much with that statement, I think. Like Batman's not that bad. Like I really like, and I know we've been just kind of shitting all over comics this whole time, and books, but
we've all collectively spent thousands of dollars on comics. So,
and I don't dislike Batman, so don't get me wrong, Larry. Don't take it that way, because I have, I love Miller's run of Batman. I love, there's lots of runs of Batman that I enjoy. There's lots that I don't, but that goes with pretty much every comic that's been around more than 10, 15 years. They have some shitty runs, but they have some really good ones too.
Well, yeah, and I get that, but I think it's
great.
I think Moon Knight's shittier though, because he is a comic book Batman, but he's a comic book Batman with comic book schizophrenia. So sometimes he thinks he's Wolverine and he'll buy some claws and fight with those. I think it's a stupid gimmick. I don't like it.
That's Marvel's version. Remember, Sentry was their Superman, but they didn't know how to write him, so
he was crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you have Moon Knight
that sort of is Marvel's what they do. They'll take a character and they'll be like, "You're crazy."
Yeah, that's
the only way they can give them a weakness that really isn't kryptonite or bankruptcy. I don't know.
That said, we did get some good content before people just outright didn't know how to write the Sentry, the Sentry at all.
Early Sentry was quite good. I agree. That first New Avengers sort of run, back when Bendis sort of knew how to write.
Yeah. When you had him not doing things or not engaging because of all the different ways that it could play out. Like there was one where I forget which Avengers. He was talking to one of the Avengers, and they were like, "Bob, we need you to help out with this." And he's like, "Yeah, well, if I do this, this happens, and if I do this, this thing happens. So I'm just going to sit here and watch TV." And he had some good arguments, so it made sense that like only when it was something that he could, sort of equivocate or in his head, make out to be a fully good action, he wouldn't do it. That was their way of sort of, de-escalating the idea of why didn't the Sentry just sweep in and do this thing, and that worked. Unless you have like a Thanos that shows up, in which case it's like, okay, you got to get rid of that guy.
At what
So
point do you think they bring the Sentry in the MCU? Like,
probably never, because they're so bad at scaling. I don't think they ever will. If they do, it'll surprise me.
I don't know. I don't know if DC is talking about if they don't do another Superman movie, like they basically are like, yeah, we're doing Superman for a while. They might.
Well, here's what they're going to do. Since there were all these hints a few months back, and we talked about this a bit during our WandaVision reviews when everything's coming out, and like certain characters' names in the show became relevant. They're not going to do the Sentry right away. They're going to do Hyperion, and that'll be their Superman.
I could see that. They've reintroduced the character in the comics, and I could see them doing something like that. And the Eternals are arguably all sort of Superman. Icarus especially. So we'll see what they do with that.
Yeah.
I picked up the new Spawn comic, Spawn Universes, our universe. It was all right. Definitely looking forward to King Spawn, which launches in August. So Image has got a few cool things happening. I'm not reading any DC or Marvel right now. Nothing.
Neither. Yeah. I'm not reading either at the moment. I've got too much going on. Like I told you, I was in a comic book shop for the first time in a year, and just very confused, and didn't know where to find anything, and I didn't really recognize most of the books that I saw. Like I recognized the characters, I just didn't recognize the books in particular. Like what is Vision's X or whatever the thing is. This X-Men thing, and like they're holding this year-long ball for some reason that you've been saying doesn't really make sense. Like, okay, how do you make that entertaining for a year? I don't know, but
yeah, there's nothing happening. Ben Reilly's back. Everyone, spoilers if you're not aware. They're killing off Doctor Strange. Miles Morales has he's wearing a tracksuit now.
It's fucking J-Lo, man. J-Lo Spider-Man.
So yeah.
They should have just made Miles Morales Spider-Man.
They clearly don't want to, because they absolutely had the opportunity to. We'll see what they do with the future of the character. I'm excited for the Into the Spider-Verse too. Spencer? Did you see the first one?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. I know Larry had. I don't. You still haven't seen it?
I still haven't seen it.
God damn it. It's so good. It's really good. And it's funny because like in the trailers, I was like, that doesn't look interesting. Spider Pig or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm not watching that. And then I saw the movie and I was like, wow, this is like the definitive Spider-Man movie. And Peter Parker's so damn good in it. But yeah, you need to watch that. Looking forward to the sequel. I know we haven't talked about Loki in the last 20 minutes, but any other thoughts on Loki?
No.
I hope it picks at the pace, and I hope it surprises me. I hope there's little things that were weaved throughout the series that maybe even I missed that will make me enjoy these previous episodes more. And yeah, that maybe that doesn't seem probable right now, but one show that definitely did that, that definitely rectified how bad an entire season was as an example, Westworld.
That's a good example. Yeah.
The last season of Westworld was incredible and completely, repaired a previous shitty season and made it relevant. So maybe these next few episodes, while I didn't hate them as much as you did, it was just kind of there. So maybe the next few can can kind of put a band-aid on the last two that happened.
Or
And,
maybe they get Feige to pull like a 180 and be like, "Aha, fooled you. All this
Well,
does tie to the MCU. Then I'll be
well,
okay."
here's the good,
That's the only
sort of
way.
good news, the potential good news. They didn't finish they didn't finish shooting the last episode until I think a week ago. So Loki was shooting actively while the first couple episodes were airing. So I say that to say, with all of this talk and with maybe they changed up a script, maybe they added something that's interesting at the end of the episode. Because keep in mind, and maybe they factored in several things. For instance, there's talk that the Black Widow film might not perform quite as well as they had hoped, based on some early buzz. And so, in other words, maybe they see some issues coming up and think, okay, well, we need to do something really cool in Loki, and maybe they added something to the last episode. I don't know. I just know that they didn't finish production until literally like a week ago.
well, I'll put it this way: as far as the show is concerned, do you remember that series? We both used to read it. I can't remember the name of it. You were a slightly bigger fan than I was, Brian. Where they would travel from, they'd take Marvel, literally variants from different Marvel universes, and they'd all travel together and like solve a thing and go from like universe to universe. What was that called? Had like Blink in it, and Sabretooth was a big part of it for a while.
Yes. Hold on. God, hold on.
But
It's killing me now. I can't remember.
I say that, and I'm going to mention this while you're doing that. I say that to just mention that that's the show that I hoped Loki was spinning into. That we were going to get that we were going to get variants of different heroes, and it doesn't have to necessarily be the A-listers the whole time.
No, but you have people like they've introduced Cable, who did like that whole family. Maverick, who was a '90s X-Men person. Like, there's a lot of time traveling superheroes, and you could have brought in a bunch of them to kind of lead this show after Loki was done.
Yeah, absolutely. We could have had a lot of those.
Basically, like Legends of Tomorrow type of thing.
Essentially, yeah, because Marvel has a property like Legends of Tomorrow, and I thought it was going to spin into that we'd travel to enough weird, variant timelines that we'd wind up with a team, and we'd get a Sliders-like show with that team. And you can pull all kinds of characters. Heck, you can pull some pretty big characters from the movies, because it's about variant timelines and things without having to explain, like, well, why doesn't Captain America remember this, or why don't they remember that? Oh, that was a variant timeline. They have the perfect cover to use some bigger characters, and to just sort of and to get away with using them without having to explain it or make it fit into some grander plan.
Yeah, I can't remember the name. I'll try and look it up later.
Exiles. I just remember that.
There you go. Exiles. That's it. Yes, and that was legitimately what this show was supposed to be, because they were different variants from different universes, and they were a team, and they would travel around. Absolutely. But we got to go. So, any final thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
Alrighty. So yeah, we barely talked about Loki, but it is what it is. There wasn't much to talk about. We talked about comics, so hope you enjoyed that. If you did, cool. Leave a upvote. Let us know what comics you're reading or not reading and why. And hopefully the show gets better, at least for my taste. And if not, I'll bitch about it next week. So thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.